My guest today is Michele Engoran. She is a psycho-spiritual coach and director of the Center for Relaxation and Healing in Plainsboro, New Jersey. Michele, welcome.
Hi, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. I have a million questions to ask you, starting with, what is a psycho-spiritual coach?
Psycho-spiritual coach. It's a good question because it's not a common term or a common title, but as you can tell from the title itself, it's a combination, a marriage of psychology and spirituality. So it's a way, an approach to viewing an individual as a blend of both, as a balance of both. It's a very holistic way of looking at someone. So when I work with someone, I'm accounting for their psychology, their behaviors, their insights, their personalities, but I'm also bringing in spiritual principles as a way of broadening the discussion with them and broadening the definition of who they are.
It sounds really interesting, and not only interesting, but effective.
Yes.
And because you're bringing in more
Right.
than is typical.
Right.
But do you have a background in psychology?
I do. I do have a background, and I love psychology, and I love spirituality, but I have a background in counseling and psychology, traditional background in that
Right.
regard, but my love for the non-traditional geared me in that direction, and I knew there was a way to bring both to my sessions.
Great. So, we all have different spiritual points of view.
Yes.
And so when you're working with someone, and I know you do some past life regression therapy, and I want to talk
Right.
about that, but when you're working with someone, they must know that you incorporate spirituality before they come to you.
Correct.
But everybody's sort of got a different relationship to spirituality.
Right.
So is there a particular belief system that people have to have? Or is it just kind of, you ask them what they believe in, and then you kind of incorporate that and integrate that into whatever it is they're in an inquiry about?
Yes. So it is, as you said, it is an eclectic spirituality. It's however that person defines, relates to, finds meaningful for them spirituality. So it doesn't adhere to any particular religion or any particular faith or any particular dogma or doctrine. But people are usually drawn to me knowing that. There is certainly a growing trend of spirituality outside of religion right
Yes.
now. People
Yes.
seeking that path. So they're
But
looking for that in the first place, and they find me.
Yes, and that makes sense. The question is, why would I come to you? What would I be looking for? Now, I'm a
Right.
life coach, and people come to me with very specific,
Right.
either they're looking to define what they want in life or how they can get to where they want, or,
Correct.
remove obstacles. What is it that, why would someone choose you? What do they come to you with their I don't want to call it an issue. That's why I keep avoiding that word. But we'll call it an issue
Right.
in the good sense.
Right.
It's just a subject matter for.
Well, they may come to me for issues. Maybe for some of the same issues they might come to you as a coach for. There's two aspects of that. I help them to heal the past, so emotional issues, which are things they've been carrying with them from the past. And then I incorporate the coaching aspect, which is looking at the present moment and looking at the future. So you need to blend that with healing of the past, setting goals and actions for the future as well. So people come to me for any range of emotional issues, relationship issues, self-esteem issues, fears that they have. They feel stuck, but they might also have specific goals, things that they want to achieve, and they just need some support in getting there. They need someone in their corner.
Right. Okay. So let's get to the past life regression part.
Okay.
When would you do that, and why would you do that?
Most of the time, people seek out past life regression as a modality specifically. Occasionally, I will recommend it when I'm seeing a client for other things as well. People tend to seek out past life regression as a form of therapy when other forms of therapy very often haven't worked, where psychology, as we said, maybe is limited in its view and model. There is a lot of talk, a lot written about past life regression. Right now, currently, we're right at that point where it's becoming very popular and much more well-known and accepted. So people hear about it. They hear about effectiveness, that it that it has, and they want to try it out. So
I have a question about that. Traditionally in Eastern philosophy,
yes,
it's very kind of mainstream to believe in previous lifetimes.
extremely.
Typically in Christianity, but I'm told at some point in the history of Christianity there was that belief system.
I've heard that as well.
So, but right now, typically in Christianity and probably in Islam and Judaism, there is not this belief in previous lifetimes.
It's not part of the belief system.
Right.
Yes.
Would someone who, has a religious practice and has a relationship to one of those religions, would they still come to you and do that kind of work? And then how do they connect that?
It can potentially transform their belief system, potentially. I usually will occasionally get people who are conflicted, but they come anyway. They come and they say, this doesn't necessarily jive with my religion of upbringing, but I'm sensing something in my gut about this that makes me really want to try it. So it kind of goes beyond all of that. And you're right in the sense that there is the concept of being reborn exists and is part of Hinduism and Buddhism, and it is widely accepted. So even if it's not part of your belief system, people can get behind the idea, just like psychotherapy, the idea of looking at the past, exploring the past as a way of understanding the present, why we're presently in certain patterns. So sometimes I will compare it to,
it's just a
the
longer
same.
past.
We just got to go back a little bit further. We're going to go before your childhood, before in utero. And so it doesn't require a belief in past lives. Sometimes people will try it and they'll be surprised.
So I want to ask you for examples. I can imagine they're surprised. So do you ever do in utero regression?
Sometimes I use that as a temporary segue into the past lives. If I have a client who's a little, not resistant, but maybe getting a little too stuck in the process, they're not allowing it to really flow. What I'll do, instead of going directly into a past life, sometimes I'll start with a childhood memory, a pleasant one, regress them to a childhood memory, a pleasant one. And then from there, if they're able to do that, then I'll take them back in utero, and I might ask them to remember to get in touch with being in utero, even though it seems like that's something they do. But they may not have something that they can really verbalize, but I can sense and see by their body language and what they convey that they seem to be having some cellular memory of even that in utero experience. If we say that our subconscious is this infinite storehouse, and so it holds every impression that we've ever had, even the tiniest ones that were unconscious at the time are there. So our birth is recorded in us, and pre-birth as well as past lives. So this whole topic, it just branches off in so many different directions that
in some ways there's something that kind of makes sense. I remember when my first son was born, and 10 minutes later, 10 minutes ago he wasn't here and he didn't exist as him, and now he's here, and there's a brand new
fully
human,
formed, whole complete person.
So there's part of me that goes, well, yeah, of course the body was taking in impressions along the way. How far back does that for you exist?
As far back as you can't really measure it. Mm-hmm. You can't really measure it because there's no way for us to say.
Because it's pre-verbal.
Because it's pre-verbal, and there's some degree that we agree to forget. Forget our past lives and some of the knowledge that we've acquired coming in so that we can have a fresh experience in each lifetime. But to some degree, we carry knowledge over. That's why you see child prodigies and you're amazed that they could play the piano at such a young age. They've carried those talents over with them.